Hello, everybody. We are back again with the leader of the Wildrose Independence Party, Paul Hinman, and we promised you we were going to touch on that ever contentious issue of vote splitting. We hear about this a lot, and for good reason. I mean, the NDP did kind of sneak in when we didn't know they were going to, and Albertans woke up all across the province and went, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do?" And it was 4 years of awful. So there's a good reason why people are nervous. However, we've crunched the numbers, we've done our homework. And Paul, why don't you speak to the topic of vote splitting?
Oh, excellent, Kathy. And it is a concern. And again, it's what they always use for the fear mongering when people are shifting to make a change is,
Mm-hmm.
oh, don't split the vote, don't split the vote. And I'm going to take exception to what you said. We didn't vote Rachel in, we voted Prentice and the PCs out. And people too often don't realize that. They think that, oh, these people got voted in. Many times elections are determined and more governments are voted out than are voted in.
That's true.
And again, it's one of the benefits of being on the playing field and being in the election, that all of a sudden you can be that one who, wow, they've rejected these two. There you are. But I always say, are you kidding? Don't split the vote. Don't waste your vote. So often, historically, and this is the difference and the great benefit of a by-election, you don't need to worry about changing government or having major changes. This is an opportunity to send a very specific message that we're not happy with what you're doing. Because if we vote in another UCP or an NDP from here, nothing's going to change in Edmonton. But you vote in myself and the Wildrose Independence Party, that's an earthquake. And all of a sudden, the narrative has changed, and we can start talking about the things that we actually want done and the things that we want protected versus the status quo and carrying on as we go. It's not working. And that old definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. Doesn't matter whether we elect a UCP or an NDP, nothing will change. You vote Wildrose Independence Party, and that's the beginning of a new future and a very positive future. And I just, the fear mongering that goes on with this idea of vote splitting to me is wrong. But let's go over the numbers. Last time there was about 9,800 conservative votes and about 3,600 uh,
NDP.
socialist NDP votes.
Yeah.
And so if you divide it in half, we're at about 4,900, excuse me, versus their 3,500. And so we're about 1,400 votes more than the socialist NDP here in Fort McMurray Lac La Biche. And so even if we split the vote in half, and you can't split it any closer than that, we're looking at 4,500 versus, or 4,900 versus the 3,600, so about 1,300 votes to the positive. But it goes back, and Kathy, you're the one who keeps saying this. Don't worry about splitting the vote. Worry about getting out to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what this is. And again, there's so much skepticism and cynicism towards government and elected officials. I get that. Back in 2008, I brought forward Bill 208. No, what was it? Wasn't in 2008. I brought forward the bill on accountability through recall. And human nature is such that then when we know there's nothing that we can do about something, we generally ignore it or go and do something else that's at least pleasurable or something that's to benefit ourselves. And many people are so disgusted with government and the direction of the government, they think, why should I bother voting? And that's what's so critical. And what you say, it's about worrying about getting people to be motivated to get out to vote. And that is one of the pleasures of going door to door. Oh no, I didn't know there was a by-election. Nope, didn't know that you were running. That's great. No, we'd love to do that. And yes, you can put a sign up on our lawn. And it's actually informing people that they have an opportunity, because historically, and again, I got involved with government because I was so disgusted of picking the best of the worst, the least of two evils. No, I want to vote for something that I believed in. I want a positive future. I want a government there that's protecting my life, my freedoms, my property, my future, what I want to do. And we don't have that. You look at all of them, and these are cradle to grave governments who want to I don't know, interfere in our life in an ever more intrusive manner that we just, you shake your head and you just kind of try to go on and to avoid these people. But yet they're right in the center of our lives, if not the policeman at the center, with the whistle and putting up the stop sign. No, you can't leave your house, you got to stay home. And when we look around the world, it's truly scary in some places where we're going, and other places where that breakthrough for freedom is so close. But this election, it's about sending a message. It's about no to Ottawa. It's about no to that interference into our lives, the lockdowns and all these other things, and letting people make their own informed decision. And again, letting professionals like doctors decide, wow, I've been doing this research, and let's try, these are safe protocols to try to treat COVID. And there's just so much out there, but yet big brother government is just censoring people. They're forcing them into coercion on what they can and can't do, threatening to take away their livelihood. We've seen that in the healthcare profession. It's just terrible. And I've talked to a couple of respiratory therapists and nurses in the different hospitals, and we literally have floors that weren't even open during this pandemic. Are you kidding me? Like the direction and the fear mongering that's gone on is just unacceptable. And we've spent billions of dollars. We should have been educating and preparing more nurses, more respiratory therapists, more doctors, and we've done none of that. We've done nothing to create the need to meet the needs of our people, but yet we've shut it down. And so don't worry about splitting the vote here in this by-election or any election. Whenever I want to say we're acting out of fear, or out of strategic, like a chess game. Well, I'll sacrifice, my knight because I'm going to be able to get the bishop or the castle or whatever it might be. We're not going to sacrifice Fort McMurray and Lac La Biche. We're not going to sacrifice Alberta. This is a time to stand up and say no to the tyranny. It's not acceptable. And you can vote and do that with the Wildrose Independence Party. The other two parties are throwing us under the bus, and they somehow think that we can save the world if we sacrifice Alberta oil and gas and our oil sands. And it's just a falsehood. And like I say, it's exciting to be able to share that information with the people at the door and say that we've got an opportunity to actually send a message and declare that, we will be the ones who make the decision for our future and how we're going to conduct our lives. And if you hypocrites, want to remove hydrocarbons from your life, go ahead and try it and show us first. But don't strip it away from us, and be in your ivory towers so smugly and arrogantly. It's unacceptable. And we in Albertans got to stand up and actually vote for what we believe in. And it's not about splitting the vote. It's about not wasting your vote. Vote for what we believe in.
Exactly. And to remember that so many people will say, oh, my vote doesn't count. My vote doesn't count. So why? I'm not going to bother. It's too cold outside. It's not going to matter. These guys are going to just do whatever they want to do anyway. And I think that's really the difference with getting a Wildroser in there, right?
I can share my personal experience in 2008, the night of the election. And again, I had the premier, I had 4 ministers come into my riding, promised millions of dollars, and I lost by 49 votes. 49 votes. And so that just means I needed 25 people that voted the way they did, worrying about splitting the vote, to come over and actually vote for what they believe in. And no, every vote does count. And there's other people that have lost by a lot less than you see elections down to 2 or 3 votes. And that's called splitting the vote. But no, vote for what you believe in. It's that same old thing, be careful what you ask for, because you might get it. But you need to be more careful what you vote for, because you won't get those freedoms. You won't get that future if you don't vote for it. And the legacy parties are not offering us a future. They're not offering us anything more than the status quo, which has to go. We cannot have Ottawa running our lives and making our decisions. It needs to be here in Alberta, and we need a mandate from the people to do that. So I encourage people to get involved. Go to our website, wildrosenation.com. Take a look at what we have to offer, because Wildrose Independence Party is all about a government for you, the people. We'll serve you, we'll help you, we'll be accountable to you. And that's probably the most important thing, is that voting for Wildrose, you don't have to worry about being stuck with these individuals for 4 years. We're accountable. If 10,000 people come out and vote, 5,001 sign the petition to fire that elected representative, it's done. And we don't need to pass legislation to do it. And again, if Jason Kenney had any care for our future, he would have passed a recall bill that was actually had some teeth in it. To think that a government can get in there and have the first 18 months no accountability before recall, it's an insult to Albertans, and it's a handout to the tyranny of whoever the next dictator is. And we can't have that. So
Exactly.
get out, vote for what you believe in, and you can get it. Starting
Awesome.
here in Fort McMurray, Lac La Biche.
So, Paul, people are going to ask, when do I vote? What's the answer to that question?
Well, the Premier has to call this election by February 15th, which means March 15th is the latest. And I suspect that he'll wait to the February 14th or 15th to call that. And we'll wait to see when he calls it. And I think maybe what we should talk about next. Well, what do you think we should talk about next time we get together?
I think next time we get together, we should talk about how much investment those oil sands companies make into the community. Why?
We're on the same wavelength, but I want to call it, what the value is of our crown jewel.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly valuable. I often call this the black pearl of the province, which is good fortune, and this is our crown jewel. And to think that we want to throw that away or bury it, not a chance. And so, yes, let's maybe do the next one on the benefit and the value of our crown jewel.
Agreed. Well, until then, we will talk to you later.
Thanks very much, and have a great day. And exciting to get out and listen to more Fort McMurray and the Lac La Biches, have to see what they have to say and their concerns.
Sounds good. Have fun on that campaign trail.
Thanks, Kathy.
All right. Take care.